Alrighty, today we're talking about the area of a circle. If this is not Tuesday, March the 24th, you have clicked on the wrong video and you need to, this is Monday, you need to do the circumference of a circle notes and do area of a circle on Tuesday. So, but if it's Tuesday, you're in the right place. So in front of you, the maneuver in the middle notes, the top part, I did not like what it was saying, so I skipped it. I'm skipping it. We're going to go straight to the meat and potatoes of what the area of a circle is and what it means. So area is the surface measurement of a two-dimensional figure. It is the blank that, it's the space that covers a circle. So yesterday we talked about, we use diameter to find the circumference of a circle. For area, we use the radius. So we use pi times the radius squared. And if you don't remember, squared is r to the power of 2. It's got an exponent 2. R squared is equal to R times R. Because remember, that's the little number tells us how many times to write the big number, and then we multiply it together. That's what I got there. So when we're working out examples, we need to make sure we have a radius. So looking at my first circle, even with the grid's kind of there to confuse us, but if we look, it tells us that R equals 3 inches. So my formula, pi times radius squared, pi r2. I don't know if you've heard people say that before. Probably not. Plug in values, just like yesterday. I'm using 3.14 for pi times 3 squared. I go over to my calculator, I'm going to type 3.14 times 3 to the power 2. Desmos has a squared button on the very top left. It's got the letter A. It's got a little 2 to the top right of the A. But when I plug in that formula in Desmos, it spits out the answer, 28.26. And that's all there is to it to find area. The difficult part is 1, remembering the formula, and then 2, making sure we have radius. It should be super easy to find circumference and area of a circle because it's all just formulas. Area is 28.26. Let's look at circle 2. I have a line that goes all the way across. Now, when we have a line that goes all the way across, we talked about that yesterday. That is called our diameter. Good. So, if my diameter is twice as much as the radius, in order to go from diameter to radius, I have to divide it by 2. So if my diameter is 10 divided by 2 is 5. That means my radius is 5. Formula, the only formula for area of a circle is pi r squared. So I'm going to do 3.14 times 5 squared. Now, yesterday I talked about when we have this typed into the calculator, what you can do is have the formula typed out. So right now in Desmos, I have 3.14 times, and then there's a blank space to the power of 2. And then that blank space I just replaced with whatever my radius is. So for example, the last question, I replaced it with 3. This question, all I'm doing is I'm replacing it with 5. And that makes it super easy. In terms of pi, we're skipping. Type this in the calculator. I think I'm going to give y'all about 10 seconds. Maybe not 10. I'll give you 30 because you probably don't have Desmos already open. But 30 seconds. Type that. Practice typing this in the calculator. 3.14 times 5 squared. All right. My area gonna be 78.5. That's what you should have gotten to. Circle 3. Think about, does that give me my diameter? Does that give me my radius? We give you all about 30 seconds. Plug in the formula. Or write your formula rather. All right. So the formula should have been pi r squared. Plug in my values. Pi. Or I'm sorry. I don't know. 3.14 times 6 squared. Type that in, and we get 113.04. Let's look at the back. So the back, we start with number 1. A circle has an area of 78.5 square inches. What is the radius? So now what I have to do is I'm given the area and I have to backtrack. So we have to think about, how do I do the opposite? So remember, our formula is pi times radius squared. So the first thing I have to undo, let me try. Okay, hold on. Let me back up, sorry. The first thing we have to do is undo pi times radius. So that means I'm going to take my area, 78.5, and I'm going to divide it by pi. So when I do that, hold on, let me jump over to the calculator. 78.5 divided by 3.14, and I get 25. Now, how we then find the square root of 25, because that's the opposite of an exponent of 2 is a square root. There's a button on your calculator for that. It looks like a check. Or you could also just think, mental math, that what number do I multiply by itself to equal 25? It's 5. 5 times 5 is 25. So whenever we have to backtrack, you gotta think pi times radius squared. Okay, so I gotta do that backwards. It's gonna be divide first, divide by pi, and then square root. Gives you the radius. I'm gonna give you all about a minute. Practice that one, number 2. Divide by pi. Second step, square root. Divide by pi, square root. About 15 more seconds. I think I went over. So first when I divide by pi, so I'm going to do 28.26 divided by 3.14. I got 9. The square root of 9, or at least the number I know that multiplies by itself to be 9, is 3. Means the radius is 3. So for number 3, where it says, Jada says that if you are given the circumference of a circle, you have enough information to find the area of a circle. Is she correct? I'll tell you why she's correct. If I have the circumference, I can backtrack my circumference formula, because remember, we would take the circumference and divide it by pi to get our diameter. Once I have my diameter, I divide that by 2 to convert it to a radius. And then once I have my radius, I do pi r squared and I get my area. This is the test question. This is a good start. I'm going to say we backtrack, or we inverse the circumference formula to get diameter. We inverse the circumference formula to get diameter, convert to radius, then pi r squared. You got your answer. Give y'all a couple seconds to write that down. Inverse the circumference formula to get diameter, convert to radius, then pi r squared. All right. So let's look at, if we were given a word problem, the difference between identifying if it's an area question or circumference. So A says, the amount of fencing around a circular garden. If I'm going around something, I'm going around the perimeter. Also, you got to think about a fence. A fence doesn't cover a yard, it goes around the yard. And also, you call your fence your perimeter. So that's going to be circumference. The amount of frosting needed to cover a cookie. If I'm covering something, that's going to tell me area. The amount of crust needed to cover a pie. Area. The distance traveled. Ooh, ouch, I just hit my ankle. The distance traveled in one lap around a circular track, that's going to be circumference. Okay. Number 5. 2 different trees are being planted in an outdoor garden. Each tree requires a specific amount of space for the roots to grow. How much more space will tree 2 require? So what this question is asking is pretty much, what's the difference in the area of the 2 circles? So what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to find area of circle 1, circle 2, and then subtract them, find the difference. So what I know for circle 1, circle 2, I'm going to separate this. Circle 1 has a diameter of 16. Circle 2 has a radius of 9. Okay, plan it work. Circle 2, circle 1. So if I need to find my area, I can't use diameter. I have to convert it to a radius. Think about when we talked about it yesterday. How do I go from diameter to radius? And we also did it at the beginning of the notes. Because your diameter is all the way across the circle, and your radius is only halfway across the circle. Oh, good. I heard you say it. We divided by 2. So I'm going to take 16 divided by 2 to get 8. Once I have 8, then I plug it in my formula. My formula is pi times radius squared So 3.14 times my radius is 8 squared. Ooh, you get a big one. 200.96. So let's save that. Circle 2, I'm already given my radius. So 5 times radius squared. 3.14 times 9 squared. By the way, when you are showing your work on your CFAs, the formula is what I need to see. So I would essentially need to see 3.14 times 9 squared. Type that in your calculator to get your answer. And then you say, okay, my answer is 254.34. So my solution, I'm going to take both areas and I'm going to subtract them. 254.34 minus 100.96. We get 53.38. It's the difference in the area. Remember, if your assignment is on Delta Math, make sure you're using pi to solve. Instead of 3.14, Delta Math's a little weird. If your assignment's on paper, use 3.14 for pi because that's what we use on the CFA. Just as a reminder, when I get back, I am checking on Securely through everybody's history. So please do not be searching for any kind of cheating devices. Please use Desmos and Desmos only as a calculator. Thank you so much. Make sure to like and subscribe.